The movie starts with a very sad and dark atmosphere where we see Polly. Polly's voice is heard saying, "I'm tired. I've given up every day. I make a new beginning, but nothing changes. The world moves on, and so do I. I am still where I started from." Suddenly, he hears a voice. Polly, who was asking her, "What do you want?" she said, "I just want this much. That all this pain would stop." Then we see Polly coming home. Polly's house, so Messi is very big, but he is very scattered from inside like he is at home. "You don't even care about me." After losing it, she turns on her phone and there are many voicemails in it. And there were a lot of calls from his mom, of her putri classes, of her sister. She was ignoring her boss and everyone else, and it was clear from all this that she was in depression. He makes a drink to relax himself and try to practice the interview in front of the mirror, but she can't say a single good thing about herself. Suddenly the doorbell rings. He gets surprised as to who had come to his house at this time. When the door was opened, there was an old woman who was trembling and quite confused. She wanted to go to someone else's house, but accidentally came to Polly's house. Polly begins to tell her about her destination, but the woman is shivering with cold at this point. So as a matter of humanity, he kept him inside his house. She calls him, and after coming inside, the woman asks for water. When Polly gives him water, he notices the old woman, goes to the woman's hand, which was missing some fingers. Seeing this, Polly gets worried and asks him, "What about you?" She wants to call her, but the woman gives a strange answer. She says, "I don't know how to operate the new phones." She gives him a card with her son's number written on it. The old woman starts talking about random things. She asks him if he is married and has children. "Why do you live in such a big house and such things?" After that, his attitude suddenly becomes very scary. The old woman stares at Polly and says, "I'm going to start now." This time, she was feeling very strange, and Polly was scared. She takes an old wooden box out of her bag and places it on the table. Then she says, "It's yours now." Then she looks Polly straight in the eyes and says, "You're going to die." Polly is shocked, and Borat tells her, "You can be sad about this. You can be afraid, but you can't change the truth. You're gonna die tonight unless you follow the rules. Your fear will start eating you up, Ekmer." Steen Polly stands up and tells this crazy woman to get out of her house. Before leaving, the woman warns him not to make the mistake of calling the police. "You might think this is a bad dream, but I know you'll never wake up from this nightmare." The police lock the door as soon as the woman leaves, her heart pounding now. She said, "Now let's pick up that box and put it right in the middle of the road." And as soon as she arrives, she calls her mom and tries to tell her all these things, but his mother could not believe him. He felt that Polly was saying such things because of the stress of the interview. And if all this is happening to Polly, then someone must be pranking her. Her mom tells her to rest, and Polly does just that. She goes out and shakes the box while talking on the phone. There was no movement in him. He too thought it must be a joke, so she comes back home. But one very strange thing was that before he could get home, the box was back inside his house. He thought that he might have brought it inside himself. Ignoring this, he goes upstairs and takes the letter sent by his mother. She starts trying on clothes and takes pictures of them all and sends them to her mom. And later, when he looks at a picture, he sees an unknown woman behind him. A shadow, an entity that was not human, appears. Suddenly, a ghostly voice calls her name, and Polly runs downstairs in fear. She runs away and lights a cigarette to relax herself. Suddenly her phone is saved and she gets scared again. But this time, it was a message from his mom. She tells her mother everything again. And her mother says, "All this is just your imagination. You do one thing, go to sleep." Tired, she listens to her mom and sits down on the sofa, and then her attention goes to the same box. He feels that everything that is happening to him must be connected to this box. At this time, the table on which this box was kept, Polly was absolutely heckled, saying she didn't put the box here. She panics and calls her mom again, and she opens the box. There was another glass inside her, and she started counting again for the glass. And the voice of her mother on the phone suddenly changes, and she says, "Polly, I'm not your mom." After which that voice would start laughing in a scary manner. And before Polly could get scared and hang up the phone, that voice also says that you are going to die. Polly hangs up, but the phone rings again shortly after. Scared, he picks up the phone and the entity on the other end tells him the rules of the game. This tells you that there is a game going on here and to stay alive, you must put 3 things in that box. The first is something they hate intensely. The second one you need the most. And the third one is the one you love very much. At the same time, that voice also warns him that if you lie, if you say or put something wrong in it, we will also come to know. Vali looks at the box, and the sand in the glass is about to run out. She understood that whatever she had to do it quickly. He remembers the rules that he has to keep each and everything like this. The one she hates looks at the cigarette packet. She remembered that she hated cigarettes and wanted to give them up. That's why he kept the cigarette pack inside that box. Even if you put that packet in that box, nothing happens. Even sand was stopped from being thrown in the classroom. It happens, and Polly's health suddenly deteriorates. She was coughing violently, as if she would die any moment. But instead of dying, he coughs up a key from his mouth. She gets scared and goes out of the house and knocks on her neighbor's door to call her friend. The woman ignores Polly because she is talking to her husband at this time. Polly begs him and says, "Please call the police." The woman tells him. She calls him inside the house but still ignores his nervousness. Suddenly, we see that the health of that neighbor also starts deteriorating, and suddenly a knife appears and she kills herself by slitting her own throat. Now that dead woman speaks again and tells him that whoever you help, if you take it, this will be his fate. Out of fear, Kamti Polly runs back to her home. When he returns home, he and the glass start working again, and seeing this, she gets angry and drops the same box from the table. But as soon as she turns back, she sees that the box has come back on the table. Suddenly his phone is saved, and it says "Dad" on the screen. It was happening, but his dad had died many years ago. She understood that this call must be related to which game. That's why she picks up the phone when she hears her dad's voice. She shouts and tells them that you are dead. But the man on the other side says, "Please don't say that." The entity tells him that you lied. You don't hate cigarettes. Put what you really hate in this box. From his dad's words, he finally gets the answer to what he hated the most. She goes to the cupboard and picks up a cross. This reminds me of a time when his dad was sick as a child. So she prayed day and night to God to cure her dad. His dad also prayed to God for his life. But despite that, he died. And from that day onwards, he started hating God. She now brings the cross to the box and she tells Cross, "I hate you." This time his truth works and Cross suddenly appears in the box. Disappears from here and the glass resets itself. As soon as it is signed that the first task is complete, suddenly he hears a noise. The sound was coming from the mirrors installed here. As she went to the mirrors, she saw her own reflection there. His reflection was mocking him, this time holding a cutter. Its reflection would start hitting the same cutter on that mirror, and suddenly the glass breaks and the cutter falls into Polly's hands. Suddenly, Polly's phone rings and she goes to see that it was her sister calling at that time. His sister was very worried because Polly had called him and told him that his daughter was going to die, but Polly hadn't made any calls. So Polly knew this was definitely a game move. She tries to convince her sister not to leave the house. "I am coming." But his sister tells him that "I have already reached near your house." Knowing this, Pori immediately tries to leave the house, but now all the windows in the house were sealed with doors. In anger, she picks up a table and smashes it against the window. But forget about the window breaking. There isn't even a scratch there. Now videos of his sister and his daughter started playing on this same window, and she sees that her sister's daughter's face was covered in blood. Polly and her sister's daughter were playing together, were very happy, but here Polly was watching. It was that the camera was repeatedly focusing on her feet. She understood that this game was definitely asking for her little finger. Polly remembers the rule, that the rule said what you want. She understood that she had to keep every part of the body is needed, and similarly, this game also needs some part of his body. Realizing this, he got into a lot of pain and cut one of his fingers and threw it in the box. I put it down saying, "This is something I need, but there's nothing here." Due to biting his finger, he had lost a lot of blood, and now he was wearing a bandage. She was about to tie the knot. At this time, suddenly an entity comes near her, which is exactly like her. She looked like Mom, and she tells her to stop crying, Polly. Checks the box again, but the finger was still there. The box had rejected it. She gets scared. She realized that the entity had deceived her. This time he goes back to the mirror, and then the finger of his hand in his reflection in the mirror is cut. He wanted a finger of the hand and not of the foot. Seeing this, Polly shouted loudly, "You deceived me, you misled me." But now Polly had to cut off her first finger too, because he had seen in the window video that if he did not do this, these people would kill his sister-in-law. Now, as soon as his first finger is cut and placed in a box, all the doors and windows of his house open. She thanks him, gets in the car, and heads to her sister's house, because he had to see whether his sister and his daughter were all right or not. When he arrives outside the house, he discovers that Christmas music is playing there. Perhaps these people were partying inside, but the scene inside was terrifying. His sister and daughter, who were lying on their beds at this time, he was not asleep, but he was dead. Seeing this, Polly breaks down and cries while hugging the corpse of her sister's daughter. Now when she comes down, she sees that this house is also completely destroyed, and now the box which was there earlier, he was at his house, he was staying at his sister's house. Suddenly he saves his phone, and at this time the daughter of the deceased sister calls her and tells her that, "Auntie, you have not completed your task yet." Hearing this, Polly starts screaming loudly and says, "What have you done? I killed everyone I loved so much." But on the other side, she would say to the entity, "Maybe your love wasn't enough." The voice asks him again, "Who do you love? That's what you have to give to this game." Polly still says she loves her sister's daughter the most, so Hawass says that you could go and take any organ from their corpses, which was difficult for Polly to do. But now she was ready for this too. Now when he goes to that child, his heart melts like wax. She could not cut any organ of such a sweet girl, so she cuts a lock of his hair and then puts it in the box and says, "Ellie, I will always love you." As soon as he says this, the hair suddenly disappears from the box, which proves that his third task was also completed. As soon as he completes his task, he suddenly hears footsteps. He saw his sister coming down the stairs, who was still alive and well, with no memory of what had happened here. Rather, she was asking Polly, "When did you come here?" Polly looks at her sister in surprise and runs into the girl's room. She sees that the girl was also playing in her room. Seeing this, she was so happy that she could not even express it. She starts loving her daughter, and suddenly her daughter's face changes. Black pimples appear on the child's face. She becomes like a devil and stops playing and is now focused on him. Sitting down, he suddenly stabs him with a knife and kills him. As soon as he died, Polly's eyes were opened, and Polly realizes that all she saw was just he was a father. Right now he is at the dining table in his house. The box is kept at his house, and at this time, box kept with S, and the class rate is falling. This shows that his time is running out. He had completed all the tasks, but now she was worried that why this time was still not ending. After all, what more could this box need? He said he needed hate, need, and love, and he gave me all three. Now he has to put everything one by one in that box. She starts remembering what was precious and dear to her. Your diamond ring, your favorite clothes, a bit of your hair, even your blood. All these things don't work, and suddenly, in that box, a hand reaches out and tries to pull him in. Polly struggles to free herself. And here he remembers what the old woman said. He said that I gave this box to Polly to escape this debt, this burden. Polly understood that this box was a liquor, and she had to hide the liquor somewhere to avoid this liquor. She must give it to someone else, or she herself will die for this herb. Polly now takes this box to her, go into neighbors, and knock on a girl's door like the old lady from earlier, Polly. Now he goes inside the house of this girl with the box. The name of the girl, whose house he had come to, is Tara. Said this time hesitantly, he sits on the sofa inside Tara's house and kisses her there. He gives me the box that the old lady gave him, and now she says like the opening line of the movie, "I am here now, I stay." She doesn't want to. She was talking to Tara in a strange way, and tells Tara that she is tired. Tara fearfully asks, "What do you want?" Holly says just that all this should stop, all this is the same. Dialogues that we heard at the beginning of the movie were, Polly tells Tara that her parents, "Now I will not come back." Then she puts the box on his table and opens it, she says, "I'm going to start now. This box is yours now, Tara." She looked exactly like that old lady. Tara gets scared, and just like Polly took that woman home, was taken out of. Similarly, Tara also tells Polly to leave the house, but before leaving the house, Polly looks him in the eye and says, "I have uttered my curse. I have transferred my debt to you. Now you are going to die." And as soon as he says this, the scene goes black from here, and suddenly we see Polly. They see him near the fireplace in his house. At this time too, Polly felt that all these things that happened may be a dream, but suddenly the same woman who was here earlier, she appears before him again. And Polly thinks this might be a world of souls. But this thought also ends when suddenly the old woman attacks Polly. And he says that the box wants you dead, it kills everyone wherever it wants. Waves, taxes. Here a fight breaks out between these two women. The woman wanted to kill Polly, and Polly wanted to save herself. And in an attempt to save herself, she stabs the same woman. While dying, the woman suddenly tells him that after all, why was that box first with that woman and now with Polly? He explains that the box chooses us because we are scared and we are broken, and our sorrow and pain is what powers that box. You? Don't let that box win, don't give that box power, and don't be afraid to die. Holly suddenly stands up and hears the voices of her entire dead family. Now he had stopped being afraid. She was now ready to fight, and here she realized it was happening that he did something very wrong by looking at that box, Tara. He started that cycle of pain all over again. However, he has to finish this game by playing it himself. I should have done it, or I should not have been afraid of that game. I should have broken his glass earlier. While thinking this, it suddenly becomes dark again and Polly wakes up in her bed again. She sees that it is morning, the sun is shining into her house. She looks at her hand, which was missing a finger. This proved that everything he had seen that night had actually happened to him. But despite all that, she was still alive. As she looks out the window at this time, his neighbor was killed while helping him at night. She was still alive after slitting her throat, and she even waves to Polly. Bolly feels like everything is falling into place again. She runs to her sister's house and finds that both her sister and her sister's daughter are alive. Polly happily embraces them, and Sugar laments that her sister and her daughter are dead. It was just a bad dream, and Polly now remembered the girl Tara, to whom she had given the box. She goes inside Tara's house to check on her. She expected the same results as the previous one. People were also found alive in Tara's house. Everything will be fine, it will be normal, it happens like this. When Tara goes to his house, Tara no longer recognizes him. There was no problem, and everything seemed normal here. When Polly speaks, Tara responds as if she knows nothing about the night before. Then this police takes Sugar and goes back to their homes. But in a huge twist, we are shown that everything was not normal. In fact, Tara had also come into possession of that box. We are shown a wall in his house with blood written on it. I meant to trust no one, tell no one, and listen to no one. We hadn't seen Tara's hands before, but now we are shown Tara's hands from behind her, who had cut off all his fingers. Now Tara goes and sits on her sofa and picks up the same wooden box and puts something in it, saying, "This is something I want." We are also shown his mom and dad dead in the same living room. This same Tara also killed her mom and dad in the same position. And at this point we understood that even though Polly had escaped that debt, but still that debt was not over. Tara didn't fight her fear. Rather, due to fear of that box, she kept doing whatever that box asked her to do. He also killed his parents. This cycle of fear and terror is transferred from the police to Tara. It's over, and this deadly game is now looking for a new victim. And just like this, the movie ends showing Tara and that box.